This is Sport Fishing Championship.
And this is the kickoff to our second day of competition for the Garmin BLUFF BLUEWATER Classic Sport Fishing Championships 8th stop of 12 in the 2023 season. A variety of billfish being caught this week already, more still to come. Robbie Floyd with Peter Miller. And yeah, they're dragging some bigs on board, Peter, whether it be a tuna or a billfish out there in the waters. There's some big fish in these here parts.
I mean, as you say that, we see a giant blue marlin in the whitewash behind the boat, a big eye coming in through the tuna door. When you got the tuna door open, Robbie, you know things are going well.
Absolutely. Martha's Vineyard is on fire this year. 60 teams. They have 4 days to fish, but they only get to fish 2 of those 4 days. A little different. Got a lay day or a lay couple of days. Which days do you pick? But the event catch total's pretty darn strong. 34 billfish caught.
That's right. You know, when you can catch 15 blue marlin in that area and 16 whites, 3 swords, possibly spearfish, that is a good catch ratio. That's 34 fish. You know, there's 30 boats that only fish the first 2 days.
And this is day 1. This isn't even talking about day 2 or day 3, which we're actually would be on right now. But Garmin BLUFF BLUEWATER Classic is strong with the updated leaderboard. After day 1, let's take a look where they sat. It looks like Keep Dreaming with 1070. 5-star fish up there in a tie with them. Now, whoever caught the first blue marlin would actually break that tie. No Mercy, Polarizer, the Atlantic Division champion, or leader, in 4th place. The Starfish actually caught the first blue, so they would be in the lead.
Do they have hot dog flavored water on that boat? I bet they do. There's a lot of fish being caught on day 1, and we are in. We are in Oak Bluffs, and we're next to Martha's Vineyard in Cape Cod in Massachusetts. We've got a swath of 130 miles off the coast of Martha's Vineyard to be able to fish. We got Damon Sacco as one of the tournament directors.
Absolutely.
This is an exciting event with 60 boats.
Damon and Christian, they're responsible for all these guys that are out there. And Martha's Vineyard, Falmouth is where they were at. You know, they go back and forth. If you're taking the ferry, you land in Boston, cruise on over. It's really awesome. We were there last year. It's a great place to visit.
That's right. We were getting the heavy-duty lobster rolls all day long. I had one for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I turned into a little lobster. I was doing the rock lobster dance on the flight home.
Island Queen cruise over there. Maybe stop by the Black Dog Tavern, grab a drink or two. The Garmin Team Spotter has our boats all the way up to the precipice of that 130-mile line. They've got plenty of room to run around, but it looks like they're all looking at that big drop. Team Polarizer is in that mix. Let's take a look at how they did on day number 1. This is the team that already has a 2nd place from our St. Augustine event.
That was a finger burner right there. That is another fish right there, and they've got some waggers back there. They've got some white marlin waggers. They got George, the owner of South Jersey Yacht Sales, on his boat, the Polarizer, a beautiful Viking with a white marlin in the prop wash. Once again, another one.
Jorge with the white, that's worth 125 points. Of course, the blue marlin worth 350, but they were racking and stacking on the white marlin side.
Yeah, this is akin to some of the other boats we've seen in the competitions. I mean, this is almost like a Dominican Republic showing.
Got to get that video verification as well. We've got our cameraman on board. We had, who do we have on there? We had Marcos on board the Polarizer, but they have their own camera crew with their cell phones. And we had a feeding frenzy. Now, I don't know if we're going to see it in this shot, Peter, but when we come back on CBS at the top of the hour, I want to see this extended because that is a mess of tuna. But I could have swore right here. Watch here. Watch him. He laughs. Look out in the distance. Well, that was his blue marlin.
I think what's happened there is they went through those tuna, and they expected the tuna, and they wound up getting the bait and switch by the blue marlin came up. And I have a theory on that we could talk about later.
Okay.
We can talk about it now. I mean,
we got 2 hours. No, we got 2 hours to talk about it on CBS Sports Network because the first time we saw that, he was laughing because they actually caught a tuna, and then we saw the blue marlin jump in the background that he didn't have hooked up. It was free jumping. But look at that, Polarizer. If you have a day 1, that's blowing it up right there. 4 whites and a blue all in the first day.
That is some great fishing. You know, the last time we saw them was last week, and then we also saw them in St. Augustine. They've been catching a lot of fish. They've been very consistent. They've been showing up, and you're putting the numbers up on the board.
That's exactly right. I mentioned the St. Augustine 2nd. They took 2nd at the last stop at the South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown. Good enough to put them in 5th in championship points. All right, day 1 is done. Let's take a look at day number 2. Again, we went over this a little bit yesterday, but again, we've got 3 days of coverage here on both the web as well as CBS Sports. I'm hearing the electric reels coming in.
Yep, this is the moment where they decided to, you know, bring everything in and go after that fish. So they're going to start backing on that fish, and it's staying relatively calm out there, kind of on the surface, you know.
That is a billfish. We've seen them do that with the whites, if I remember right, and we'll watch it more in depth later on CBS, making longer turns, like where there's one white, there could be another, right? And you're looking for those multiples. That's
right. You're always looking for that extra bite, because if you've got one in the area, chances are there'll be another 1 or 2, maybe even 10, but usually 1 or 2 will bite.
You know, it started earlier with Greg Robinson.
That's called stretched out there, Robbie. When you're way out there, that fish is way out there. The cameraman is zoomed in. He must be on the bridge there, filming from atop. Nobody in his way. And they're working their way slowly in reverse, taking up that slack, getting after it. Everything's cleared. Dredges out of the water. Teasers hanging from the riggers, and they're going for it.
A couple of different anglers caught white marlin for Polarizer. I know Greg Robinson with a catch at about 9 o'clock. I know Jace Alzheimer as well in that 9 o'clock hour.
It's 9 o'clock in the morning. The situation was not boring. He's got, that looks like Greg in the back winding on that fish.
See the leader starting to make its way there as well. So when that leader goes through that first islet, it will be considered a qualified catch. I think I saw the lead.
Or if the mate grabs the leader before he goes through the islet, if he's got those long arms of the law. That is a chunky fish right there, Robbie.
White, huh? Yeah, we've seen, again, the points are the same, whether it's a small or a larger variety. The fun size count just the same, 125 points for every white marlin caught. And there's George with the timestamp and the video verification.
Popping a tag in the fish right there, getting some underwater footage for us.
And there was Greg to the left with the hat on the other side. Let's check out Strictly Business, see what they're up to. That 60-foot Viking, John Ocello, based out of Falmouth. This is their home waters. Our cameraman Neil on board, getting the good stuff.
Well, all you see there, Robbie, is line screaming off that reel. There's nothing you can do. Let them run, clip in, prepare for battle. Bringing everything in out of the water, get everything cleared so they can throw it in reverse and start getting after this fish. See, he's loaded up. You see the way he's loaded up?
Yeah.
He's got control of this rod. He's ready to go. He could do whatever he wants with this fish. He's got the fighting belt on. He's not in a harness yet, a bucket harness. He's doing his thing, staying out of everybody's way, backed up. These guys can clear everything. Then he'll move to the transom as they start to go back on it. There he goes, crab walking back there. Always crab walk on the boat, especially when you got a lot of heat.
Now, this looks like an early morning bite. We know they got a couple of different species in the morning at 5:40 unofficially. A big one of the right variety. They're backing up quick. That tells me this is probably, yeah, this is a blue marlin, I think.
Oh, that is quite a rudder, quite a tail on that fish. You know, when you see those blue marlin, they have massive tails, whereas a swordfish has a more powerful tail, much shorter. But boy, these blues have big tails and they can pump it.
Sean Clark with the release blue marlin about 5:40 in the morning. Great job by Strictly Business. Moving them up the leaderboard as well, so that's solid run. You love starting off the day. Everybody wakes up, heads out. You get the muy grande, the 350 pointer.
And he was, you see his fighting belt harness set up. He was strapped in perfectly and to his advantage to be able to get that fish so quickly.
No Mercy up next. We thought they had the first catch of the tournament. That was not the case. Starfish, after all was said and done, had the first catch of blue marlin, but the 55-foot Viking, I think based out of Palm Beach, Jeff Fuhrman. Cody, our cameraman, on board. I like the weather, though. The weather looks good, and that's why I think most teams went out day 1 and day 2. They knew that third day there could be some bad weather.
That's the key. That is the key. Pick those good weather days, and you'll enjoy it a lot more, and hopefully the fish will be biting during those calm days. You can see his his teaser reel's up above his head where he just pushes the buttons and he brings those teasers in. But sometimes those fish come up so hot, even though the electric reel is bringing those teasers in, you got to pull it in with your hands, and those guys get some burn marks on their hands if the marlin gets a hold of it.
No doubt. So taking a look at the catch from day number 2 for No Mercy.
Kyler Paparelli.
Kyle, you gave him.
I gave him an extra R.
You gave him the extra R.
Yeah, no, I give him credit where credit's due.
He'll learn
That's
the R.
Kyle. Go get him, Kyle.
I thought this might have been his yellowfin that he caught in the morning, but that one's got a bill on it.
It does.
This might have been at a 919, a released white marlin for Kyle Paparelli. He had already caught a yellowfin earlier.
You got to pull that squid chain up. They will get tangled in that more times than not, especially when it's right there on the side.
So he made contact with that leader, but they knew they were still kind of
They already got the catch. They got the video. Everything's good.
Yeah, so that's where you saw a little frustration. It's like, don't leave that stuff out there. This was them bowed up on day number 1. Remember, I told you we thought that they were in the lead, but I think was this the yellowfin they had?
That's a lot of heat right there, and he's got that positioned to use, be able to use his weight and his leverage. They're going to slide that up his back. The top portion usually goes in the kind of kidney area, and then you have the one under your butt, and then of course you have the one on your thighs, the fighting belt on your thighs.
A lot of fold over here, but again, doing everything he can. That fish does not want to come up right there.
That is a ton of heat. For you to have to put your hand down on the gunnel, they're going for it. It's kind of like a stop 'em or pop 'em deal at that moment. Now they're backing up. You can see the line scoped up. It's not, down. The fish is obviously up on the surface, backing down, going at a good pace. They got the leader in their hands. They got their catch card. They've already got it on camera. But it's always good to get that extra shot, Robbie, next to the boat to identify that fish so there's no discussion as to what it was.
Yeah, Tyler Dufresne putting them on the fish. And again, early morning blue marlin caught for No Mercy. Yeah, they're catching a lot of fish, a lot of big fish, a lot of varieties of fish. We've seen blues, we've seen whites. I think we're going to see a few more, Peter.
Maybe even a big eye.
Big eye, we got yellowfin, we got them all.
SFC coverage of the Garmin Oak Bluffs Blue Water Classic is sponsored by Frito-Lay, Margaritaville, South Padre Island, Denison Yachting, and by Salt Life.
When it comes to performance, comfort, and functionality, we've got you covered. Performance apparel designed by anglers to make your time on the water better than ever. Salt Life, the official apparel sponsor of the Sport Fishing Championship.
Whether you like to ride the wind, find your secret cove, or reel them in. Plot your paradise with GPS Map Series from Garmin.
This spring, settle in and reconnect with one another. South Padre Island has so many great places to stay. Condos, resorts, and hotels. Oh my! Book your spring getaway today. And start making memories poolside with the people you care about most. Visit SoPadre.com.
When you're serious, you are as excited to wake up for a 4 a.m. fishing trip as you were when you were a kid. It means winning 3 World Sailfish Championships. It means you know what you need and what you don't. Being serious means seeking out the ultimate fishing machine, which is what Peter Miller has found in the unmatched handling, speed, and comfort of an Invincible.
Pine tar, bay rum, all natural, all natural.
It's time for your old soap to take a
hike with Dr. Squatch, the best natural men's soap, deodorant, shampoo, and so much more.
Dr. Squatch is for players like Justin Herbert, who are here to shake things up, who break records and hearts, who are tough on the outside and soft on the skin side, who only use natural performance enhancement and want their end zone to be fresh.
Go to drsquatch.com today. Feel like a man, smell like a champion.
Are you ready for the ultimate luxury fishing experience? Join the Sport Fishing Championship talent on the SFC Experience, where you'll explore incredible fisheries and enjoy world-class hospitality from diverse cultures and SFC partner locations. With the SFC Experience, you'll create unforgettable memories with friends, families, or colleagues. Book your trip today and embark on the adventure of a lifetime with the SFC Experience.
SFC coverage of the Garmin Oak Bluffs Blue Water Classic is sponsored by BioLite, Publix, Durabright, and by Hop Water, a non-alcoholic sparkling hopped water.
If we were only there, Peter, instead of our studio, we'd be having us a lobster roll on that green grass, just kicking back, enjoying Cape Cod for what it was worth.
With a nice Sapporo, ice-cold Sapporo beer. I mean, I tell you what, that brings me back to my ute when I lived in Japan for 3 months.
Yeah.
That is some good stuff, having that ahi tuna.
No mercy with 1175. As we look at it through day number 2, keep dreaming. Starfish Polarizer still hanging into that top 5. Lights Out, the defending champ, back in 7th with 700 points. I see Fortunate. I remember there was one team, was it for Opor Tuna tie?
Yeah, let's take a look at Polarizer, day 2. They're right off that ledge near Gypsy and Miss Wilder, fishing those cracks. And another billfish, white marlin in the spread, making that turn, keeping the baits out as the fish is greyhounding away. Always have a little tension on that fish because they go wild on that initial hookup. You can see that tail wiggling in the air as they're greyhounding. That fish is fired up. It took 2,000 milligrams of Adderall this morning before it started. even woke up.
That should be Jace Alzheimer on day 2, yesterday morning at 9:23. So he just said, I'm good, let's go run. Boat's still pulling.
You know what that fish is probably saying right now? He's probably saying that mother blanker really isn't real.
It ain't real.
It ain't real, but I'm gonna eat it anyway.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
You're like that TikTok of that lady down the airplane aisle. I see what you did there. That thing's not real.
It really wasn't real.
Speaking of reels, I'm hearing the electric reels working their way in for the teaser.
Yep, you make that call. Once you know everything's kind of settled down and you're not getting that extra bite, no more fish are up in the teasers, but you keep those teasers out in case you want to raise something up, because if you pull everything in on that initial hookup, you preclude yourself from possibly raising up another fish. So one bait is not necessarily going to do it. They keep the dredges out, they keep the squid chains out, they'll keep it all out, but all of a sudden they'll say, you know what, bring everything in, we're going after this fish, hanging a hard right.
So at this point, when they do that, does they start slowing the boat down now as well, and now it's time to just bring her in?
Still going pretty fast. Looks to me like they're almost at trolling speed. You know, you'll see when everything kind of stops, everything's in. They probably still have one more bait out. A lot of times you want to have a bait over that fish's head. You can see he's pulling back right now.
That's what I was wondering. At some time, they would have to slow it. Let's go
there
ahead.
You go. You see Greg back there reeling a bait in. You'll never see Greg on the boat without a bait out. He always has a bait in the water, no matter what, until that boat backs down where that bait is going to be in the props. He will get it out of the water. Now it's time to go after that fish.
You do the same.
Oh, yeah. I will always have a bait out.
Sometimes I wouldn't have to leave another one out because I'd be the one with the catch to begin with, right?
I would have a GoPro in one hand and a bait in the other. I'd throw the GoPro overboard if I had to.
So we got a wagger for Team Polarizer. Again, another 125 points. They're in a position here where they need a win if they're going to catch Quantified for the overall SFC Billfish Championship. Quantified has their best 3 finishes in the Gulf Division, a second and 2 first. This team has 2 seconds, so their second's taken care of. They need 2 firsts now.
Beautiful jump, and there's that double line, that wind on leader. Fish is coming towards the boat. They're going to spin that corner around, and they're going to have a legal release in seconds here, I believe.
Yeah, this is the power time, right? You just try and get that leader up to the tip.
Oh yeah, he had that double line already out of the water, and the leader was out of the water. Nice size white.
Yeah, it is. And
Those whites don't get very big, but they're powerful. You know, they're kind of like a sailfish on steroids.
Well, this was much bigger than some of the whites we've seen this year.
Yeah. I mean, I've caught 5-pound striped marlin, I've caught 5-pound sailfish, and their bills are pliable. And you know, a lot of these fish are only about 5 years life expectancy.
Good catch. A tagged fish as well, so they'll follow that fish. Somebody will catch it another day, maybe. See where they catch it, see how far it traveled. Again, these are pelagic fish that are just cruising through the depths of the Atlantic Ocean.
Going back to Polarizer on day 1. We can't get enough of that Polarizer because they were really putting on a clinic.
Again, another billfish at some distance.
Hanging that turn still at speed,
Looks
at
a lot
trolling
like the
speed.
last one.
Exactly, it's the same thing. He's got the rod cushion in there. You pop it right in your hip socket there, right in your psoas. Give yourself a little psoas massage
I
before
thought it was
you.
a psoas.
It could be a psoas.
It's a psoas that starts with a P.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of, looking at the rules, you know.
Psoas, as I was saying.
Shut up. No fighting for the gunnels. So he can't have that rod stuck in that little hole right there in the side of the boat and fight from the rod hold. You can't do that.
I mean, if this was like pre-K, if this was like nursery school, pre-K, yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm saying for somebody watching, like, dude, I remember fishing like this, and I just left it in the little round thingy, and I just wheeled it.
A round thingy.
I'm saying what some other person might wonder, like, why is he standing up fighting this when you can just leave it in the boat? You can't leave it in the boat. I'm trying to call out the other people that are first-time watchers.
Yeah. You have to take the rod out of the holder. You want to drop back on the fish. Engage the gear by pushing the drag lever forward.
Oh, now we're getting
Put the rod tip low and off to the side.
Oh, now we're getting cocky.
Start winding slow, and then that fish will come up, usually jumping and tight, and will not come off. Just keep that pressure on, keep a little bend in that rod tip, and get after it.
What going on with this little leader on the near side of the picture there? Has it got some kind of wrap around it? Did they put a sleeve around the see the leader on the near side?
No, that is not a sleeve. That is the wind-on leader, which is whipped, and it's floss waxed on there.
That's it.
It's a whole thing, but that's like it's like a braided Dacron sleeve that goes over it, and then it's whipped. The ends are whipped together.
So it did have a sleeve.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yep. It's not sleeveless. Sun's out, guns out, but not on that one.
Oh, we're gonna get one of those before this is over with.
Yeah, somebody's gonna get a sunburn.
It was too pretty of a day not to have the.
We should have the special, you know, what would you call it? The
Guns Out edition.
Yeah, we should call it the Sun's Out, Guns Out edition. Replay of the day, brought to you by Banana Boat. Let's get a sunblock in here.
Let's do this.
And you could say something like, well, if we had Banana Boat, we wouldn't have this situation.
Oh, no.
Another nice white marlin.
Slippery.
Lit.
Already tagged? Or are they already did
Yeah, they tagged it already. Up in that shoulder
Yeah,
door.
look how lit
That's
that-
where you want that. That's where you want that tag, Robbie.
Look at how purple that fish was. That was lit up. That was awesome.
Putting that rod cush away. That's his best friend.
Just two best friends. Kurt Von Seacom Jr. with a released white marlin, but also on Polarized. But it's not just about the billfish, especially here at Martha's Vineyards with championship fish to talk about. And with the wahoo, the mahi-mahi, and the yellowfin tuna, we saw those last year. But now with the addition of the big-eye tuna, it's going to go down here.
It's hard not to add the big-eye tuna when you know they're prevalent in some of these areas. You know, we saw Asha catch one last week for about 136-ish, And then the wahoo division, look who we have. We've got Jacelyn with a 52.2-pound wahoo.
By the way, she's fishing down in Orange Beach. She's in the lead at that the Blue Marlin Grand, I believe, right now, too. So our SFC team's doing good on their off weeks.
They're all over the place. And this fella right here, he can't stay away from the championship. That's Gus Sprance on Just Looking with a 33.6-pound mahi. See, he was smart enough to enter that division.
Yeah,
the other boat that caught a 59.9-pounder did not enter, which could have won on $50,000 for a $250 investment.
We've seen that a few times, even here at this tournament. There's a yellowfin tuna. That one may hold. That one may hold. But again, there's bigger fish in the sea. 189, not too far off of Drew Phillips's big fish last year of 206.
206, that's right.
But $250 could win this man $100,000.
You got to get in those bets. You know, you never know, especially in an area like this when you got big-eye tuna schools busting all over the place. You've got, look at this, Jordan Sanford with a 246-pound big-eye tuna.
I thought we were going to show Asha. Asha Chakrabarty is no longer in the lead. Now the big-eye tuna leader is Jordan, just like it was last year. Remember last year, he caught a big one, but it wasn't one of our championship fish. But on the local side of things, that was a big boy.
Yeah.
And he's aboard Gypsy, he and his brother, Taylor and Jordan.
And this was day one on the Gypsy. They are doing work in the nighttime. They've got their underwater lights on. They've got the gaff out. The fish is obviously closer to the boat than, you know, when it first started. And these guys are big. These guys are big dudes, and they know how to fight fish. And you can see this fish has some big shoulders.
Yeah, this is 250 pounds you're looking at in the water. You know, guys can guess what they weigh.
Based on that lure and based on that setup and that chain they have, that fish was hooked in the daylight because they were trolling when they hooked that, and they fought it into the evening.
And if they did, then that was over a 2-hour fight because that was at, what, 9:55 or so?
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they fought that for quite a while, but you know, and you have to. And again, it could possibly pay $50,000 on our end, but that could win a lot of money on the local side of things as well.
Is a big eye a championship fish, Robbie? Yes, it is.
Sir.
And that fish is going to take hours to bring in if they have the right amount of energy, and it depends on who's winding on that rod. That is a jumbo.
Yep, this is Jordan's
gorgeous
fish.
footage.
This is the one that we saw hung up earlier. And the thing is, we're just now kicking off our Big Eye Tuna Town, right? I mean, we've still got the Tri-State Canyons next week. Oh, Sean. Oh, Sean.
Hey, guys, don't hide your emotions, man. Just let it ride, okay? That's got to be one of the most exciting things, battling a fish like that and getting it on deck, and you know it's going to be phenomenal eating. It's going to win you some money. It's just got everything all wrapped into one.
And that time of night, too. I mean, that's just right before Betty Bye time, right? I mean, you're either maybe pulling up a swordfish,
They can be
right?
chunky. They can be swordfish. They can be chunking for tunas. Maybe try to do an upgrade. Try to cull.
Yeah.
I'm culling my 245 for 255.
Oh, boy. Taking them to school. We saw a school of tuna earlier. We're going to see more of that again also at the top of the hour on CBS Sports Network. Peter Miller, I'm having a good time. We've got a lot more still to see.
Yeah, I like everything about this, Robbie.
Let's keep doing it. Man, but we could be at the beach.
In Puerto Rico, we call ourselves Boricua. We're proud, passionate, and full of life. On our island, adventure finds you. Strangers aren't strangers for long. The size of the audience doesn't change the beauty of the music, and we celebrate every last ray of sun. Live Boricua.
Salt Life, the official sunglass partner of the Sport Fishing Championship.
Hey y'all, I'm Amanda Shaw. We all know Louisiana is as fun as all get out. So get out, take a road trip, and explore our state. Fill her up, then try a new restaurant that's as fun-loving as it is food-loving. Grab the family and take off for monumental adventures at our 21 state parks. Or take a magical minivan tour along our 19 scenic trails and byways. Louisiana's a trip. Take one today.
This is Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. Plan your road trip at LouisianaStaycation.com.
Whether you like to ride the wind, find your secret cove, or reel them in. Plot your paradise with GPS Map Series from Garmin.
When you're serious, you are as excited to wake up for a 4 a.m. fishing trip as you were when you were a kid. It means winning 3 World Sailfish Championships. It means you know what you need and what you don't. Being serious means seeking out the ultimate fishing machine, which is what Peter Miller has found in the unmatched handling, speed, and comfort of an Invincible.
SFC coverage of the Garmin Oak Bluffs Blue Water Classic is sponsored by Garmin, Invincible Boats, Visit South Padre Island, and by SFC Experience.
We're going to visit South Padre Island in about a month's time to crown our Gulf champions. We're in the heat of our Atlantic Division battle, the Garmin Oak Bluffs Blue Water Classic. It's our third of 5 stops for the Atlantic Division, Peter, and it's been on fuego. It's been on fire, especially for Team Polarizer, the team already with back-to-back second-place finishes. Can they jump up into the lead? They need more catches. Let's take a look at a very special catch for Team Polarizer, something that I've never caught before. You have, but let's take a look at what George Robinson has here on day 2.
You know, you're winding out there, Robbie, and you're working on these fish, and you're in that calm water, and you're getting these bites. It's tough to differentiate between what's going on. You know a tuna, you know a blue marlin, but when it comes to the other billfish species, sometimes it's not as easy to determine until the fish is at the boat.
Yeah, George reeling it up. Everything's nice, calm, smooth, everything else. They know they got something good size.
He's smooth. He's smooth stroking it all the way.
Nobody's really concerned on the boat, right? I mean,
well, they're backing down. Everything's clear. There's no concern. There's no need to talk. Everybody does what they know how to do, and he's winding smooth. The mate's ready. He's got his gloves. Everybody is poised and ready to get that leader.
Nice
and they also got a drink on the gunnel there. That's always refreshing to be able to reach over and grab a little hop water or whatever you may be drinking.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Or water with hops and barley.
Barley.
That fish is down and dirty. This is deceiving. It's almost like tuna-ish. It's almost blue marlin-ish. It doesn't feel like a white marlin to me, Robbie, when I'm looking at this. When I'm looking at that rod tip, scoping out.
I remember last week we saw a special catch. Was it from them too, or so? That mako shark and that thing jumped up there. But I was like, we've seen some special fish lately, but this
Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, as you see this, you see that little straightened area of the dorsal, the top of the dorsal. It's flattened out. So we're rounded out, usually in a white marlin, but this is flattened out, right? So you look at it, let's get a closer look. And they're calling it a spearfish, putting a tag in it. You see that dorsal fin extending all the way down, almost like a sailfish, but a sailfish's dorsal like cut in half. That is a short, statured dorsal. It's a long-bill spearfish. Okay, the long-bill spearfish has a bill that is twice the distance of the lower jaw.
Now, that could be a fish of a lifetime. I mean, you don't see many of those. I mean, that's the unicorn kind of catching a spearfish in a white marlin, blue marlin world. I know probably the more specific one or the. Yeah, after 40-something years, he finally catches a spearfish. Now, Peter, we have more to talk about because spearfish are one of our 5 billfish varieties, right? But the long bill spearfish is not one of the OBBC varieties.
Well, there's a bunch of different spearfish. You know, we've got the longbill, we've got the shortbill, we've got the Mediterranean, we've got the round scale, and they're all slightly different. Then you have a hatchet marlin, which looks like a white marlin, kind of looks like a spearfish. So there's a lot of kind of like maneuvering in and out of what they actually are. You got to go to the scientists. You know, now you're going to see where the gill catches up to the pec fin. Then you're going to have on a shortbill spearfish, you're going to have, there is my first spearfish in Hawaii. That is a shortbill spearfish. You see the bill is just longer than the lower jaw. And there they harvest these fish because they're prevalent in this area. And they make, you know, lovely dinners out of these fish. I was kind of surprised, to be honest with you, but you notice there's no black dots in the dorsal fin. I'm with my good buddy Kit there in Hawaii fishing out of Kona. We were looking for big blue marlin, but we had a doubleheader of these spearfish show up. We caught it. You see the dorsal fin has a point at the tip, and then a very short dorsal fin, but very long across the back. And then you're going to look at the different characteristics, okay? You're going to look at the pec fin. Does it extend to the lateral line? Does it touch the bend in the lateral line? Does the anal fin get close to the caudal fin? It is a whole science behind it. But you see the bill on this fish, it's twice as long as the lower jaw, okay? Looks to me like a long bill spearfish. And, you know, when you're catching spearfish, it's exciting. So exciting for those guys to catch it. It's not something you really get very often. I've never caught one in South Florida, only in Hawaii.
So the thing is, like in local tournaments, oftentimes the white marlin and those spearfish get confused in the hatchet marlin you're talking about. On the Sport Fishing Championship, typically, if it counted, the spearfish counted would be 125 points, white marlin 125. We don't care. It's one or the other, you're going to get it. But the OBBC, their rules are you can have a spearfish, but it has to be a certain type of spearfish, and that's what the round scale, and that one's different.
Yeah, the round scale, short bill, which you saw in my photo, where the the bill is only like a little bit longer than the lower jaw on that fish. And then again, you're going to look at where the gill plate and the pectoral fin start. You're going to measure that distance, and then you also have the caudal fin with the anal fin, how far they are from each other. There's a lot of different aspects to this. It's science. You actually have to go to the scientists. I call my buddy Kerry Chen the artist because he paints them very often. He always tells me which fish is which. Is this a hatchet? He says, no, it's this. Is it a short bill, long bill? No, it's this. So I always go to Kerry for that information.
Well, and then they did that scientifically. They said, yeah, they agreed with George and his crew. It was a long bill, and the long bill spearfish does not count. So there's 125 points they wouldn't be getting if it was a round scale. Either way, it was cool. I got to see a spearfish for 2023, some type of variety. Saw one last year. There's still another fish I've been waiting to see. What's that? That swordfish? Yeah, we've got those as well. Sport Fishing Championship, top of the hour. Join us on CBS Sports Network. Peter, let's do it again. Let's see more fish. They caught a lot more than what we've seen.
2 hours alive, more fish.
Yes, sir. There's still 14 or 13 boats out on the water today fishing. Tomorrow's the last day, but I'm not sure too many people are going out. Got a big day of fishing and catching here on CBS Sports Network next.